Hi guys, Techman here. So a few weeks ago, a company by the name of Easylonger emailed me asking me to take a look at this unit, which they call the ES960. Now, I'd never heard of this brand, and I guess many of you are hearing this name for the first time too. They claim they are an R&D manufacturer with 15 years experience in manufacturing charging solutions. Like many of the email requests I received from unknown brands, I was going to politely turn down the opportunity to evaluate it. But I always do a quick search on the product before sending off my response. And on this occasion, I decided to accept their offer for several reasons. For example, it's a small power station with lithium iron phosphate cells rather than the normal common lithium NMC or lithium polymer cells we see in smaller power banks. It's also portable with no AC outlet, much like my Ridgemonkey Powerbank, which is nothing but a brick these days. I loved this unit, but it packed up soon after the warranty period expired. And I didn't get much joy from Ridgemonkey either, which is a shame. There were some other minor factors, such as built-in MPPT charge controller, but let's get back to the unit for now. Now this unit is marketed as a CPAP Powerbank, but it certainly isn't limited to powering CPAP machines. As you can see, there's a bunch of ports to power and charge your devices and gadgets. I wasn't able to test the CPAP functionality, and I'll come to why later. But I have managed to cycle this unit plenty of times in the past few weeks and noted down my observations. So without further ado, let's get cracking.
It's go time!
So what do you get in the box? Well, here's the thing you need to hear first. The unit arrived poorly packed with several holes in the packing, paving way for water to get inside. The box was wet through. I didn't think twice before binning it. The accessories in the box were moist and wet, and sadly had to be discarded. It was a shame my phone wasn't at hand, and I wasn't able to take any photos. I did take the time to report this to Easylonger, but they couldn't send me a replacement unit. Thankfully, the power bank is water resistant and wrapped in a plastic inside the case. And with all the ports tightly capped, the unit was largely unscathed. The manual survived under the protection of the unit, but I think it's pretty pathetic. The font is too small and the English instructions scattered across the manual. I mean, why can't these manufacturers do a better job? Why cut corners on an emergency backup power supply? Food for thought.
Exactly.
Secondly, and most importantly, you need to know that this power bank has some major flaws, and I'll explain these flaws and my opinions as we go along. But I trust Easylonger can correct these issues. And based on this belief, I've taken the liberty to show you this unit and talk about its features. I hope you don't prove me wrong, Easylonger. Now, the power bank itself feels heavy and sturdy, a rugged rubberized design. There's a neat carry handle on the side. It comes with a simple neoprene case. I would have preferred a proper case, something that can store the unit and have room for some accessories, such as the included CPAP cables or a USB cable. This case is a snug fit for the unit and there's no space for your cables or adapters. There's also no carry handle on the case, so it's not easy to carry. And that's because the handle on the power bank is concealed in the case. So again, little things like this can do with improving. Moving on, funny how it's called the ES960, the 960 referring to the 96 amp hour or 96,000 milliamp hour battery. But here it says this model is called the GP50. Even the manual is confused, and so it decides to give it both names.
What?
Now, before we check out the ports, I want to reiterate that this power bank houses lithium iron phosphate cells inside the unit. In fact, there's a whole 297.6 watt-hours worth in the unit. And Easylonger rate these cells at a nominal of 3.1 volts, which, if you're familiar with lithium iron phosphate chemistry, is ever so slightly underrated. Lithium iron phosphate cells have a nominal voltage of 3.2 volts. So if we take 3.2 volts into account, we can assume the capacity should be 307.2 watt-hours. I don't know why manufacturers underrate the nominal voltage. We see manufacturers underrating the battery capacity. That happens often. But there's no sense in underrating the nominal voltage. In fact, someone asked this very same question on Amazon, and Easylonger said that's a standard nominal voltage. No, it isn't.
Bam!
Anyways, enough of my petulant rant on the nominal voltage. One thing Easylonger has got right is that they offer a 24-month warranty with the ES960. As you can see, all the ports are neatly spaced out at the front of the unit. Right off the bat, it's good to know there's no AC inverter built into this unit. This is purely a DC power bank, and it can only power DC loads. So that's something to bear in mind when considering this unit. You can easily add your own inverter to the 12V output sockets as I'm doing here, but bear in mind the DC car ports are limited to 15 amps. And when you take into consideration the energy loss from the DC circuitry in the power bank and the conversion loss at the inverter, you're probably going to get 150 to 160 watts max out the AC inverter. So if you really want an AC socket, my advice is to get yourself a portable power station with a built-in inverter. The added benefit is that you'll get a much more powerful inverter and you won't need to carry around an external AC inverter with you. It's all built into the unit. Now on the topic of 12V circuits, these car ports are not regulated. As you can see, the output voltage is 12.55 volts when the battery was probably around 5 to 10% capacity. That's a near enough estimate, I can't be certain. And that's because, as you can see, Easylonger has employed the vintage old battery bar system. We'll come back to the screen in just a moment. So again, I got 12.55 volts reading when the unit was almost empty. Here, on another occasion, you see what happens when you disconnect a load. The voltage starts to rise. This is common in batteries. Again, this proves the point that the 12V ports are not regulated. Now, this isn't particularly a bad thing with lithium iron phosphate chemistry cells. A 12V lithium iron phosphate battery, or one that's in a 4S configuration, has a nominal voltage of 12.8 volts. That's plenty enough for 12V appliances. And as you can see here, at full charge I was able to get a reading of 13.35 volts, which is further evidence that the 12V car ports are not regulated. Again, not an issue by any means. Opening this cap here reveals a couple of USB ports and a DC 5521 or DC 5.5mm by 2.1mm port. The DC port supports various preset voltages. This unit can provide power up to 24 volts. And it can pump up to 5 amps. Now, this isn't something new. Remember, we took a look at the Power Traveler Power Gorilla last year, and the Power Gorilla was first manufactured in 2011 or 2012, and it incorporates this very feature, the ability to pump out DC power at various voltages. So there's nothing new here, but equally it's a good feature. Next, the twin USB-A ports support quick charge up to 18 watts. And if you prefer to charge your phone wirelessly, there's a wireless charging pad on the top base. If you need more USB ports, you can add USB ports by simply plugging in a USB car cigarette lighter adapter. To the left we have the input ports. The USB-C port here is bidirectional. You can charge your USB-C devices such as smartphones and laptops, as well as recharge the power bank via a USB-C wall adapter. Remember, you can only do one thing at a time, either charge or recharge the unit. And last but not least, there's a dedicated DC 5521 port to charge the unit from a wall outlet or via solar energy. Speaking of charging, Easylonger include a 40W wall plug to recharge the unit in approximately 7 to 8 hours. The manual says 10 hours, but I've not seen anything longer than 8 hours. This unit also has an inbuilt MPPT charge controller, and it can take in up to 80 watts of solar. But sadly, they don't include any adapters to use your own solar panel. As discussed earlier, the unit can also be charged via USB-C wall outlet, such as the ones that you get with your smartphone or laptops. It can take up to 60 watts, and you're likely to see recharge times around 6 hours. During my observations, I noticed it can only take in 53 watts from the USB-C port. Now, although the manual says you can recharge the unit from a 12V battery or vehicle, and it says it takes about 7 to 8 hours, but I couldn't get it to charge from a vehicle. To demonstrate, here I'm trying to charge the unit from a Bluetti EB55. The DC port on the EB55 is regulated at 13.35 volts, and after plugging in to charge the Easylonger, the LCD screen suggests it's charging, and on a normal day you take that at face value. But it's all a deception. My watt meter tells me the unit is not taking in any charge whatsoever. This is further backed by the EB55. Look, no watts coming out from the DC port. And if you think this is an issue with the EB55, think again. Here I'm conducting the same experiment, this time with a 12V lithium NMC battery pack. The battery currently is under 12 volts, and again the LCD screen suggests it's charging, but in actual fact it's not charging at all. According to the specs as advertised by Easylonger, it should charge from a car outlet. Wait a minute, does that say car outlay?
What?
Now on the front here, perhaps the most disappointing thing about this unit, the LCD screen. And it's that old, vintage and outdated battery bar. Easylonger describe it, as you can see here, exact remaining charge. But it couldn't be further from the truth. Now those of you regular on this channel would know I'm not a fan of this battery bar status. and as I will demonstrate in just a minute, the battery indicator isn't reliable or accurate. Now moving on with my evaluation, I've cycled and tested this unit for more than a month, and one thing that's really annoyed me is that battery bar status. The state of charge is unpredictable. I was charging a laptop and a couple of power banks from this unit, and I estimate I had drawn about 200 to 220 watts during this process. I then plugged in a USB-C laptop, and the battery bar indicator dropped instantly to 1 bar, and then all of a sudden the unit shut down. I had a feeling the battery bar was inaccurate, and so to put my hypothesis to the test, I conducted a direct DC to DC charge test, and here's what I uncovered. The test involved trying to charge our very own Agent M's All Powers Monster X from the Easylonger. Now the Monster X has its own state of charge issues, which I briefly mentioned in several videos and I'll come to again in a moment, but the test started just fine, as you can see drawing 60 watts. And here, after 53 minutes, still drawing 60 watts and a total of 51 watts discharged. Everything seems to be okay, right? Well, things are going to get interesting. Here at 1 hour and 10 minutes, the Monster X has taken in approximately 70 watts of charge, and still taken in charge despite suggesting it is at 100% state of charge. For the record, it was at 99% state of charge at the start of the test. At 1 hour and 17 minutes with discharge almost 77 watts. You'd think 1 bar would have dropped, but no, still showing 4 bars. 1 hour 41 minutes. We passed the 100 watt landmark, and still 4 battery bars, suggesting over 75% state of charge. And no surprises on the Monster X, still taking in 60 watts at 100% state of charge. 2 hours and 20 minutes, and 140 watts discharge. Does the Easylonger show any sign of depletion? Go on, take a guess. Nope, still going strong on 4 bars. And the Monster X? Well, no comment. 2 hours and 30 minutes, 150 watts discharge. Still 4 bars. And the Monster X still living the dream. 2 hours and 56 minutes, 175 watts discharge. And still 4 bars on the LCD screen. And the Monster X? Well, still in dreamland. Almost 3.5 hours and 208 watts discharge from the unit. And still no sign of depletion, a full set of 4 bars. And don't get me started on the Monster X. Right, to save you from boredom, let's go to 4 hours and 35 minutes and 274 watts of discharge. And there you have it, battery fully depleted. Of course, the LCD screen suggests the battery is depleted, but right up to that moment it was displaying all 4 bars. So there you have it, further evidence the state of charge isn't entirely accurate. Now on the back of that, I'm going to cut this review a bit short. I'm also going to cut out the pros and the cons, which I usually do at the end of reviews, simply because I can't recommend this product, not at its current stage. So in conclusion, this unit is a bit of a hit and a miss. I mean, there's a lot to admire about this unit. The fact that it houses a lithium iron phosphate battery pack and the small compact size makes it appealing to those who don't require an AC inverter. But on the flip side, there certainly are some major flaws here which I've highlighted. If you are looking at this unit to power your CPAP machine, I'd strongly recommend you look at the Jackery or the Bluetti EB55 and just use the AC adapter that comes with your CPAP machine. I mean, imagine this. You got your CPAP machine and you want to use it overnight. You grab your power bank and the display shows 3 to 4 bars. You think, great, there's plenty of power for a peaceful night. And then the unit depletes during the night, all because the LCD screen was inaccurate. That wouldn't be very pleasant, would it? Now there are reviews from customers who say it works well with their CPAP machines, and I guess you may wish to take the chance yourself, but the inaccurate state of charge indicator is still a concern for me. For example, look at this review where the customer reports that they used the unit for approximately 8.5 hours. Yet the LCD screen still showed 4 bars. That doesn't sound right to me. The state of charge indicator is probably inaccurate. And there are others who have complained that this unit doesn't work with their CPAP machines. Here's a few examples. Easylonger need to go back to the drawing board and address the issues I've highlighted. And just to be fair, in terms of charging your phone and USB-C laptops, this power bank works fine. But is that enough of a reason to purchase it? Perhaps not. There's plenty of reliable power banks that can do the job better. Now, I haven't had the opportunity to do a DC charge test, and I also wanted to see if both DC ports can pump out 15 amps simultaneously. But since I cannot recommend this unit, I'm not going to do them. Now, I would normally provide links in the description. As always, I do not include affiliated links. I make no money if you decide to go ahead and make a purchase. But given my overall position based on my observations, I think this unit needs a significant upgrade for me to consider it worthy of recommendation. I don't know. Perhaps my expectations are higher than other reviews on this platform, but having sound knowledge on this industry, I think there's a minimum standard and I know where to draw the line. The inaccurate state of charge indicator is a major red flag, especially when you're advertising a unit to use with a CPAP machine. I'm not going to roll over or sugarcoat products in return for a continued supply of products. I'll put forward my opinion based on my observations and experience, and I'll let you decide whether the product is for you or one to pass. Right guys, as always, thanks for watching, stay safe, stay green, and I'll catch you in the next one.